Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome to another episode of Preacher on AFTERBUZZ TV. This is the season finale. Can you believe it? Season 1 is finally wrapped, and we have a special guest in studio to break down the entire episode with you. Stick with us, guys. We'll see you in just a second.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Guys, even though the song is awesome, I feel kind of somber. It's the last episode.
Yeah.
It's like
Just for the
counting down
season,
right now.
not ever though.
Yeah, not ever.
The finale.
But maybe ever for our special guest.
Uh-oh.
We have a special guest!
Yeah!
Welcome to the house, Mr. Derek Wilson.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
Donny's in the house.
Donny's in the house.
Sort of.
Can you hear everything okay in your headphones?
Oh, yeah. I got you.
You got full hearing
Gotcha.
going?
Full
Okay,
hearing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, there's your
Convincing.
catchphrase.
Yeah.
There's the preacher catchphase.
That should be on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Guys, this is the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Preacher. I jumped the gun. I was too excited. This is the after show that you would normally catch us on a Sunday night. It's Tuesday. It's a little weird, but we all wanted to make sure that we could get most of the panel here, and we also wanted to make sure that we could get Donny here. So this is the show, and we're going to be breaking it down for you. And please like, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, all of those things. It helps us stay high in the standings and continue to provide free content for you. If you want to find me, my name's Ben Bateman. I'm Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, you can find me at Mr. Dave Child because I'm Mr. Dave Child. Hi.
And you can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. I'm Frank Moran.
And Derek, where can the folks find you?
Twitter at _Derek Wilson.
Cool. Is that like the primary form of social media, or you stay off social?
I'm on Instagram as well. Same handle.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, yeah, this is it, guys, and it seems that the whole town's dead. We
Yeah,
no
the
confirmation that Donny's gone yet. No confirmation.
No, he's gone.
We got confirmation.
We have confirmation,
We got confirmation.
that Donny
Oh, yeah.
is dead.
Yeah,
dead.
I also
Everybody's
just read I read a little interview with one of the co-creators who said that the only surviving members are our main people.
Really?
that we have. Yeah,
They
those are
confirmed
the-
that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
Even
that's it.
W. Earl Brown doesn't. There's really?
He's gone.
They're
Man.
gone.
Wow.
All right.
That is a wild choice on their part.
I know.
To
They
just like.
clear the deck.
Well, yeah, it fits in the world, right? It fits in the world of Preacher.
100%. So speaking of which, I should remind everybody that at the end of the episode, we are going to do a predictions and spoiler section. What we like to do is we like to do the episode as though we don't know the comic book, because we're all fans of the comic book,
Right.
but a lot of people watch the show and don't read the comics. So we're going to kind of loosely allude to things that we know about, but we won't specifically mention them until the end of the episode. We'll save like an extra little 10 minutes at the end to do kind of like an actual spoilery comic book. This is what we think is going to happen based on the book section, and we'll tell you guys to get the heck off if you don't want to listen to that. So
Well, and Donny, somebody that isn't in the characters, created new for the show there. So what did you enjoy most about Donny's character arc through the entire season?
Well, it was always surprising. I had no idea where it could go because there was no basis, obviously, in the source material. So each script was, a new adventure for Donny, and I kept getting these what I thought were just amazing scenes. The writers just really, I don't know, took a liking to Donny, right?
Right.
And the whole gunshot deafening thing was incredible and just blew my mind.
Well, one scene I thought was great was just early in the season where you're talking to your son, kind of trying to explain your relationship with your wife to your son, and it's just it's a consensual thing, but it's a little different.
That's the beginning of a little bit of audience redemption for Donny, is trying to get the audience on Donny's side.
Right.
Well, they made such an interesting choice in that first episode. I feel like actually a lot of the show was a little different in that pilot. I think there was a sense, it must have been on Evan and Seth's part, when they were making it, to say like, okay, we have to serve the comic book fans, but we also want to create all these dichotomies between the characters. And Donny came off, he was sold to us right at the beginning as kind of a prick.
Yeah.
In the end, he still kind of was,
Yeah.
but he was kind of a level prick in the end. You know what I mean? We were kind of on his side.
I think the story for Donny kind of expanded after the pilot. I don't know that we would have seen much more. I don't think there were plans to see much more of him. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
So did you know very much besides outside of the pilot? Like, did you think you were just going to play a dick the entire season?
Yeah. I wanted to bring as much color as I could to it.
Right.
But I didn't think that they would expand in the story as much as they did.
Okay, cool.
And the plan was not to do that. So,
Yeah, because you're kind of the Karate Kid villain in that first episode.
Yeah.
And then it takes you learn to like you, and you're also one of the first people that realizes there's weird stuff going on besides Jesse himself.
It's funny, Donny, who doesn't seem be too together, too
Yeah.
smart,
Right.
is one of the ones that is one of the first ones that starts to put things together and comes up with a master plan.
Yeah.
I mean, so Donnie's arc and what eventually happens with the gunshot,
Yeah.
that like reflects the sense of humor that Preacher's always had. I think
Yeah.
the sense of humor that so many of us wanted from the very beginning, and it was we saw it all weave together throughout the season. By the time you pulled that move, and there's all the like he's deaf and you can't really hear you, his relationship to Kincannon with the arm, it all started to really make me laugh. Donnie ended up being like a very funny character.
It's really funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And in all the right ways, because he is the dumb guy that figures out the plan, which is even better and even funnier that he's the deaf guy that now knows the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when Kincannon mentions that he talked to Jesse right there, and then just your reaction when he's in his office, and you just kind of snap up, like, what? Wait, what did he say? What did he say?
Specifically, what did he say?
Yeah, watching Donnie put all that stuff put it all together in that moment. It's just like this corkscrew going into his head. You know?
Right.
It's
The puzzle pieces are all
like
coming together.
he's never thought that hard in his life.
Right. Why was Donnie so into wearing a Confederate outfit when they stormed the church?
It's something. Okay, so that's something that people do. They do these Civil War reenactments. It wasn't so much that it was more about being a general.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was more about being a leader and trying to regain that sense of leadership.
And regain a sense of power, maybe, because he
Yeah.
lost it throughout the whole
totally.
season?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well,
Yeah.
especially like in terms of losing some power there, that scene with Kincannon when after you've broken your arm, and he just makes you go through like trying to take that tray out. Even though it's like, I can get somebody
Yeah.
else, and he makes you
Right.
just do it for a while.
Humiliating.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, that's what I was wearing. Or that's what Donnie was wearing the last time I fought Jesse.
I thought you were about to say, that's what I wore to set one day. And they were like, yeah, you should just wear that for the outfit.
No, I don't choose to wear that.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's officially taken down.
I thought it was interesting. So, all right, you read the script for the pilot, right?
Yeah.
You were intrigued, and as you said, you didn't know that Donnie was going to necessarily be as big of a character as he was. I thought that a lot of things around episode 5 or 6 in this show really started to kind of change and shift. Like, I started to get a better sense of where it was going, and more than that, the sense of humor was the thing that I started to pick up on the most.
Yeah.
On every level. Like, Kincannon, his scenes in the final 4 episodes made me laugh out loud several times, whereas in those early scenes, especially some of the ones with you in the office, they sell him to us as a very stoic, kind of weird dude that doesn't really talk much.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to build all sides of those characters, and so yeah, you can have a character who is stoic and strange and still, but then they can also be this.
Right.
But it's interesting to watch them grow into that. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's that.
Right. And we were talking earlier off the mic when we were talking about the kind of the slow pace of the show. Especially as comic book readers, kind of took us a while to kind of get into the gear of the show.
Yeah.
Mostly because I think we knew where it was going, so we're like, get there.
Of course.
It's like harder for the comic book fans to watch this show than it was for non-comic book fans, which is reverse usually with treasured properties like this.
Right. You guys are just like, come on, get to the good stuff. Get to it now, and because you know what's coming, you know how awesome it is.
Did they make you read everything past the first book, or you just had to read the?
They didn't make us read anything. I mean,
Evan told me he was pretty adamant, like he was like shoving it in everyone's hands.
I guess he probably assumed that I had read it.
Yeah.
He never was like, you have to read.
Oh, okay.
But so I'm not in, Donnie's not in the comics, so maybe he just didn't care.
Yeah.
You're not coming out of your trailer until you've read everything.
Yeah,
Do
right.
it.
No, but I had read it. I'd read the whole thing a couple times just through the audition process.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, it's the best comic ever.
Did you worry when you were reading the comic? This is a little bit of comic book talk, but it's no spoilers because it's just the Kincannon story.
Yeah.
Did you worry you were the Nazi secretary at one point? Because you kind of the fill-in for the Nazi secretary.
A little bit, yeah. I had never thought of that.
Yeah.
No, I never worried about that. I mean, when you sign up to do a show like this, you're signing up to do whatever
they give you.
I put on a Confederate uniform. It's
Okay,
that's
cool.
part of the
Isn't the Nazi? That's Miss Outlash, right? Miss
Yeah,
Outlash.
think so.
Outlash.
And I thought she's in the show. She's like the lawyer
She's
that
there,
follows
yeah.
Kincannon around a little bit.
Oh, right.
she
Yeah, I
does.
guess so. She just doesn't have as big of a part.
And she's also not dressed in Nazi regalia,
Right.
so it's hard,
Yeah,
hard to
it's hard to-
identify her
yeah,
in
okay.
this
Well,
instance. Yeah.
behind the scenes, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, fair
We're
enough.
the Confederate to set. She doesn't get quite to do that.
Yeah.
So, let's just jump into the episode a little bit and
Right.
kind of talk through it. So, Carlos is a big thing that we lead up to in this season, finding out sort of that Carlos is the guy that stole their life. I like that Jesse and Tulip now, we're seeing a little bit more of the relationship that I think we expected was going to start the show with. It took a whole season to get there.
And
10 episodes.
It also does kind of start with a little bit of Donny's redemption in a way, because Tulip knows that Donny and your wife know like where Jesse is.
She breaks the glass.
And just breaks into your home
with our pink flamingo.
Yeah, with the pink flamingo.
Yeah.
Very important.
Very important.
Very important.
She's good at breaking into homes.
Yeah.
She's solid at it.
And it turns out you're helping Jesse out.
Yeah.
But you've had a change of
buds. We're pals. We go way back.
You've had quite a journey.
Yeah.
And he saved
pretty
you.
crazy.
He saved you.
Saved me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
preacher.
He showed me mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Donny learned something from that.
Did it take you much time to get the accent down, or no?
No, I'm originally from Kentucky, so
really?
I've got a little bit of,
You can revert back pretty quick.
Yeah.
As a kid, did you have a little thicker accent?
Nope.
Really?
Nope, I never did. I don't know why I didn't.
You never did?
No, I
Okay.
never did. When I talk about home, it comes back.
Okay.
Right.
But I never had that thick of an accent. My parents do, but I don't.
Cool. Well, that's good. You could click back into it. You've done a bunch of TV over the last few years, so this is and a lot of bit parts, right? I've seen a couple things. Aquarius, I think you were on. The Good Wife, right? So, what was like? Can you tell us a little bit of the difference for the process of showing up for like the 1 day, the 2 day kind of a things, 1 episode, 2 episodes, to getting that script and just realizing I'm going to be 10 out of 10 on a huge hit show.
Right.
I mean, not just a hit show, but like the network that had Walking Dead, and this is the next property that they're trying to make the next Walking Dead. I'm going to be in every episode of season 1.
I mean, it's the best thing that's happened in my career so far. It's thrilling. It's scary.
Yeah.
There's a little pressure taken off that I'm not in the comic book. I would watch Dominic on set sometime, and I'd be like, man, I bet he feels a lot of pressure in this.
Yeah.
And then once you're there, it's family.
Right.
It's family. It's very comfortable. It was the most welcoming, comfortable set I've ever been on. It's great.
How long did it take you guys to shoot season 1 in its entirety?
3.5 months.
3.5 months?
Yeah.
Cool. It's amazing.
Now, in the scene, towards the middle of the episode, you're sitting there in bed with your wife, and you're reading Gorillas in the Mist.
Oh, yeah.
Whose choice was that? Was that in the script? Or was it like, what you guys kind of talk on set? Like, what you done?
We tried to get, we couldn't get Harry Potter.
That was your big.
We couldn't get clearance for that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I actually suggested a Louis L'Amour book because just randomly, there's a scene in Rocky where Dillon is reading Louis L'Amour in bed, Cowboy, dime store Cowboy. Right. So I thought that would be funny. And then I showed up and Sam Catlin handed me Gorillas in the Mist and was like, that's what it is.
That's the one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Yeah.
He's got a good sense of humor. So.
Yeah. But I made sure to be on page 1.
Just starting off.
Right.
Because he's been busy.
Now, the comic book and the show, in its reflection of it, it's kind of like this hybrid. It's a black comedy, right? There's a lot of humor, but it's also like pretty dark subject matter in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Did you find the set was like more of a just laughing, fun, good time type of place than it was a heavy, dark?
It was a good time.
Really?
Oh yeah, really fun. Which is, the Seth and Evan set the tone for that from the first 2 episodes, and it's serious about the work, and we get into it, but it's there's a sense of joy and play, and that's the best environment for any kind of work, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. So we'll jump forward after the Carla stuff goes down. Everybody's in church expecting God to show up. Jesse, uses the rotary phone. Your wife is kind enough to help him with.
She's so good.
Yeah, she's good.
Right.
She's good.
How many people know how to operate a phone that goes to God?
A God phone?
Yeah.
With an angel hand?
Yeah,
I like when
exactly.
Cassidy looks over.
She was pretty knowledgeable. Like I wouldn't have flipped that thing open and been like, "Oh, this is where it's going to project. This is
Second nature.
Yeah, this is the video conference.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
That's what she does, though. That's what, she does that.
Right. Yeah.
I love when
So-
Cassidy looks over. Angel hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that. I know about that.
That's pretty good. And you get the projection of of the Alpha, the Omega, the Lord God. I thought that was hilarious that Tulip says he's going to be a white guy. I'll bet you he has to explain it to if he's not.
Well, I also like right before that, Kincannon gets to kind of set the tone for why everybody's there.
Yeah.
And he's all about like worshiping the god of meat. And everybody's just like,
falls
what?
flat.
Yeah, I think he kind of expected that to be like a rounding applause.
Yes.
Yeah, I never thought of that before, but God of Meat. Of course.
They allude to that storyline, but we never actually fully get to see his God of Meat.
I don't know. We kind of do a little bit. We see, we get a sense of that he sees people as meat. They're the same as meat.
Right.
And you get, well, in the comic, again, this is not a spoiler because we're past this point now.
Yeah.
In the comic, he's made a giant woman out of meat, like a kind of mother out of meat.
Yeah.
In this, there's a interesting and kind of more tragic flip where he makes his daughter out of meat.
Way more sad.
And
Far
like
more sad.
holds his daughter, a meat version of his daughter to him.
Well, like so many of the characters in this versus the comic, they actually took time to flesh out that character and make it less of just like a punchline. Because again, Kincannon's one of those characters that's just like Sheriff Root was in the comic, where he's really pretty one-dimensional. He's a cartoon. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a lot of jokes, and then he dies, and that's that.
Yeah,
so.
you put these these incredible TV writers and amazing actors, Jackie and Earl, and of course they're going to be fleshed out and fully formed. And I like to think of that baby as the offspring of Odin and the meat.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. He made a new version.
So they just took it one step further.
Right. Maybe are there some behind the scenes, like deleted scenes with the giant meat woman?
I don't know if they ever had time to make that.
Oh, okay, that's
but
fair.
maybe it's,
maybe in the extended DVD version.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray is for sale soon.
Yeah,
Put it on the special edition.
It would be good to have you. I would love to have one scene where you're just like, don't go in there. Don't go in. Like
that's a good idea.
Because there was a few of that in the comic where all the people that worked for Odin was just like, do not go in there. You don't want to see what's in there.
Right.
Turned out to be
and they allude to that a little bit early. I mean, a little bit with Jesse's dad.
Right,
when,
Jesse's dad.
And he looks in, and you're not sure what he sees in that earlier episode.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, you don't know. I mean, Odin, they kind of try to touch on that a little bit.
And that was a surprise for comic book fans, too, because it made the comic book fans think, oh, he's got a meat woman.
Right.
And then when it wasn't, and something kind of more surprising and more tragic, it was kind of it was a surprise for everyone.
Absolutely. I want to take a quick break, guys, to talk to you about Loot Crate. Loot Crate is an awesome service. It's less than $20 a month. You get like a sweet box of loot, of things that are really cool, and we have one right now that Loot Crate is offering, which is going to be like a DC Comics type of deal. Special items from DC Comics, Archer, Dark Horse, Kill Bill, get a bunch of cool collectibles. There's a special offer going on right now. If you order before the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific, you receive that month's crate and the for less to save $3 off. That's what it is. If you use lootcrate.com/buzz as your code. So check that out with all kinds of cool Suicide Squad stuff going on right now.
No meat people, because that does not arrive in the mail very well.
No women made of meat.
No.
Or men made of meat.
Some cool toys. Some really, like, if you want to like decorate your desk and your car with all these weird DC comic toys, it's great for that.
Loot Crate's super sweet. I mean, nobody in the world doesn't like just getting a box of cool stuff on their doorstep that they like. I mean, right?
And an awesome t-shirt every month. You can get an awesome t-shirt. Come on,
it's fun stuff. So check out Loot Crate, guys. That is lootcrate.com. Use the code /buzz. Let's get back to the episode. Let's talk about everybody in this church dying.
Yeah.
So Donny's there in awe with his wife, just along with everybody else, along with Sheriff Root. We don't see Eugene, Sheriff Root, just after his interaction with Cassidy's just like staring on.
Still like, trying to figure out where Eugene is.
What was it with the deal at the end? Where was that Jesse imagining him again?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think Eugene is now the John Wayne for comic book readers. There's there's a John Wayne that pops up in Jesse's head every now and then. He has conversations and kind of as Jiminy Cricket. And I think Eugene, for a while, I get the sense, is going to fill that role. And he's going to, because he's the biggest mistake Jesse has done.
Right. Was
send Eugene to hell, and he's figuring out how to do it. So he's processing that emotion by talking to a little ghost version of Eugene that keeps popping up.
That's a good point. I actually hadn't thought about Eugene being just because of the stuff with John Wayne showing up in earlier parts of Jesse's life. I had a hard time sort of picturing him there, but I think that actually makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Was there any discussion on set about the lack of the John Wayne character? Like,
no, I mean they did a little, tip of the hat,
Right.
in an episode, but no, I mean I'm sure that was just I don't know what's going on with that, if that'll happen later or if there's just difficulty,
Right.
with the estate or what.
the estate, yeah. Garth had mentioned it's a little hard with the estate
okay.
getting the getting the stuff
No,
taken
I
care of.
didn't. There may have been, but I wasn't around for it.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So,
and this is like, I mean, I guess if you think of all the ways that this interaction could have happened, when you finally get connection with who they think is God at the time, just to see how that was going to be visualized and how that whole conversation was going to break down. Really interesting way they put that whole series of scenes together there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, so with the town gone, we did see that little montage at the end of the hanging and the bus driver and everything like that, trying to kind of clean up some of the pieces. What do you guys think about the bus driver? That was like some sweet redemption for some people. I mean, it was dark. It was dark.
I think we got a sense of it kind of became Sodom and Gomorrah, like all of a sudden, just full on. I mean, it was already pretty much of a dark town, but after the interaction with Fogod that they had,
right?
Which I still want to talk about a little bit because that was great because I thought it looked so fake when it was happening.
Yeah.
And that fakeness they used, which was awesome.
He had giant hands. He used the perspective. He had huge
The perspective,
hands.
It was clearly just a projection of someone just talking and pretending to be God. And I was like, this is odd that they're doing this with God, that they're not, effects budget. They didn't run out this much, right? That they just have one mat.
Yeah.
That they're talking to.
It's so flat too. It's just
so
a square.
flat.
It's like a square.
And it's like
It's
flickering.
not even like a hologram of God. It's just a projection of someone pretending to be God. It looks like it's just, oh man, they just burned through all their budget.
Yeah, well, it's
all
great.
the 1800 stuff was enough.
It's great too, just because the whole like, I think there's like a line in the comic at some point when you do see a projection or dream or something of God, and it's and Jesse says something like cut it out, like cut out the theatrics, or someone says that. But I think it's that same sort of thing where it's this idea that the world has of what God looks like. He's a white male with like a huge
Big beard.
and he's sitting in a throne with a loud voice, and it's like funny that heaven would use a cheap projection.
Yeah, and it's exactly like the God you would think it would be. There's no surprise about this God. It's not even Morgan Freeman. It's just
Just saying the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, it's just the regular God. And it's great that the scene is great because you see that God kind of break down and fall into his own lies, and not really being able to be all-knowing like he's supposed to be.
Oh, yes.
And just even seeing like Kincannon for a moment, like thinking, even evaluating what his beliefs are now too, because when he thinks that is God and asks about his daughter, is my daughter up there with you? Just even having that moment where he's kind of sitting back down in his seat and he's like, oh my God, is everything that I ever thought, is that really, is it, the God of meat is not what I should be believing in now? Just that little moment, I was like, just before everything starts falling apart.
I particularly like the first question is the woman standing up and she's like, God, why do good things happen to bad people?
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a good question. Let me answer it for you.
Yeah,
That's a good scene.
And as soon as they figure out that like God isn't around, God is missing after the word is used on this imposter, and that truth is let out, then you see everyone's reactions to the fact that God is missing. There's riots. It turns into Sodom and Gomorrah. People kind of have different ways of reacting to this. How do you think Donny reacted to like that?
Well, it's tough for Donny because he's just kind of come around.
Yeah, he was just redeemed. He felt like he was guaranteed path to heaven.
It's a big drop. It's a big fall.
Even the schoolgirl outfit couldn't help it. He was
no. What?
She's wearing the schoolgirl.
Dorothy.
Dorothy. That's what it was. Dorothy.
Yeah, it's Dorothy. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Wizard of Oz in this. The whole man behind the curtain God thing.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. It was kind of the wizard was revealed to just be some guy.
Yeah.
And not some all powerful person. So the imagery of cutting to Dorothy
and a whole town being
blown away,
being blown away, and a town that's also kind of very desaturated.
Right.
Like the whole show has this desaturated Kansas before Oz feel to it.
Right.
So that's kind of perfect.
Yeah. Gorillas in the Mist.
Yeah, Gorillas in the Mist. Like Toto.
Right.
In a way. Yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's definitely a strange choice. I think to spend a season establishing that many characters that much. When obviously that diner at the end is basically where the story starts in the book. I mean, that's essentially what happens. So they
Exactly.
and I mean, Sam or Evan, somebody told me when I talked to him, it's going to be a little bit of a prequel, right?
Yeah.
When I hadn't seen the show yet, right? Like I talked to you at the premiere, and he was like, "Yeah, you'll have to. There's a little bit of prequel before you get to the story." And I watched the first, the second episode, and I was thinking, okay, it'll get there 3, 4, 5 episodes. They literally spent 10 episodes, an entire season, to get us to the first page of the story, and then killed everyone the whole season. I couldn't. I just like.
I do want to say, by the way, you could join us on the chat. We're watching the chat. Talk to us live on what is it? YouTube.com/AfterBuzzTV.
Yep.
Find us there. But we're getting Derek Wilson is dangerously sexy.
Look at that, man.
And very handsome was an earlier one, and we also got Let's hope Donny is like a cockroach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He still sticks around.
Could be. His arm is protected.
Right. He does keep.
I really think the three characters for me that I'm the most surprised that they killed are Donny, Emily, and Sheriff Root.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's I guess they could always change. I mean, you say he's confirmed to be dead. You know that he's dead. At the same time, they could always just change their mind if they wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Right, they could. Also, it is a world where we're dealing with heaven and hell and people coming back from heaven and hell.
Yeah.
So I guess never say never. But at least Donny had a full arc.
Yeah.
I feel like, did you?
Well, but that arc, that Donnie's arc was mostly really about the arc of Jesse,
Right.
and helping that story be told, and establishing where he is at the beginning of the comic, and so I understood my role in that, and it was a full arc for Donnie, but that supported the main character.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those memorable characters in the sense that like when a show, it's like Shane from The Walking Dead. When a show is like truly a classic, like if this show does go the 7 seasons or 8 seasons that I think they're hoping it goes, and I expect it probably will, it will become part of lore, right? Donnie will become like he's the early foil to Jesse that kind of pushes him to be the guy that he ends up being in the story.
Yeah, sure.
That's a cool role to have, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like one of the changes from the comic book is, at least originally in the first storyline, I mean, Jesse's right there and he sees the town get obliterated when he gets Genesis. On this, he's already at the diner with Cassidy and Tulip eating fries. He misses the news story about the town being obliterated. So he doesn't really have like that significance of everything that happened after he left town, what this whole finding out that God was gone did to this whole town. I felt like that was a key part of some of his motivation to really go out. And this one seems more of a singular motivation this time around. Like he's just doing it because he feels offended that God's gone.
I think you can only do something like they did when you have a property like Preacher that is so beloved, because I virtually could not have seen a universe where AMC was like, this is too slow, we're canceling Preacher after 1 season. That would have blown my mind. So the fact that it was right, like they were just like, we have a whole season to set this up.
Right.
We're gonna literally tell you guys a story. It's gonna feel like an anthology show. You're gonna watch the whole season. You're gonna get comfortable with everybody, and then we're just gonna start you over in season 2 with the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's wild. I can't think of another show in history that I've ever watched that's done that. Can you?
No, it feels very strange. I feel like they wanted to do that. I heard they basically wanted to do that with the pilot to Lost. Like they wanted to have Michael Keaton be the main character and then kill him right away.
Really?
After the first episode. That's what I heard. But they didn't do it because they were also like, that's just ridiculous. They got used to their characters and building up their characters. So it took AMC to actually do something like this. And it's very strange when it comes to Emily, because I feel like Emily, they were setting up another whole new character that's not in the comic books, but she felt like she was going to be the other woman this entire time.
Yeah.
It felt like Jesse was going to have to decide between Tulip and her, and it never really happened. Like, they never do that.
Well, she kills Miles. So you're like, oh, this character's a little more interesting. You're like,
it's like,
meet here.
Who is she?
She is from Anvil, which is, a pretty backwards place. So.
Right.
I guess there is some sense that like every character in Anvil is just broken in some way.
I think so.
Which is like, let's just get rid of him.
Yeah.
And let's start over. But I'm still shocked by it. Like I guess even though as a comic book reader it happens in a different way, but it's the same thing.
Sure.
Everybody in the town dies.
Yeah.
I still found it sort of shocking that they did it in the show. You know?
Right. It is. Yeah. Especially since I thought the sheriff was going to maybe follow him around and try to help find Eugene or hunt Preacher down
for
revenge. but he's gone too. They're all gone.
Well, I mean, what did we think about that scene with him and Cassidy just sitting there in the jail cell, just shooting him? Yeah, as he's trying to find out more and more about Cassidy's story and where Eugene may be.
I thought that was cool for like a couple reasons, right? I thought it was super cool because you do find out a little bit more about Cassidy. They're filling in the blanks as we go. He mentions that the years 61, 50, 40, 22. Cassidy has a criminal record. We're getting episode by episode that there's a dark past with Cassidy, that he's done some horrible things, and they're just teasing that, which is great because that shot at the end where he's sitting in the back seat in the middle between the two of them, he turns away as he sees them kissing. It's not, the future is not pretty for that trio. There will be good times, but there's got to be some bad ones.
Yeah, there's going to be some bumps.
He's clearly in love with Tulip, That's a thing. And,
and you saw more of that getting developed in this episode.
But I also like that when she showed up, she says, "I'm happy to see you," and they hug, and you're like, "Oh, you guys are friends," and it's that whole thing.
Right.
Which, it's a great story. So I think there's a lot of that dark stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, and I also we've talked about how this show is all about shades of gray in previous episodes, and your character is someone who starts off as that Karate Kid villain and then becomes like kind of a minister's boy by the end of it, and kind of a evangelist by the end of it. So that's where you see your shade of gray, but you also see it like with Cass.
Yeah,
you see the hints of the monster that are underneath, because you can't just be. I think we've seen how he's a vampire, he needs blood, but you also feel like that's an ailment. With that scene, you get a sense of he did something in the past and it was a crime of passion. So there's actual something bad there.
Definitely.
That maybe isn't even tied to the whole vampire thing. It just might be who he is.
Yeah, and we have a lot of time to find that out, which is great, which is exciting, because, being as loose as possible, that's a great part of his history that we find out in his story.
I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, that's
excited to watch and be ignorant of the whole, what's going to happen. It's gonna be fun.
You're going to get harassed by people so much, but what do you know?
Yeah, because it was like the last day you guys are filming, you're wrapping up this episode, and it's like, all right, and okay, you guys are all dead here in Anvil. All right, see you guys later. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, was there that's a wrap on Anvil, everyone? Was there a moment like that?
We all end at different times.
Yeah.
I think my last shot was Donny on the bed, with Betsy there in the outfit and just kind of staring up and kind of somber.
It's a nice.
I think that was it. I think that was my last.
All those shots. The suffocation.
During that montage.
Oh yeah, the suffocation. Yeah, the bus driver.
That kid with the selfie and the suffocation.
Oh my god.
That was so funny to me. I didn't know that was
dark and hilarious.
And he actually puts a little bit of sad face on when he does the selfie. It's so good.
Yeah. Also, can we also talk about, there's so many cinematic moments in this episode. Like, it starts off with, you see the prairie dog. It is a prairie dog, right? The prairie dog mascot in the window. And this kind of weird shining moment. And then whenever we see the prairie dog, it's kind of this shining moment. And then the preacher running across. Beautiful shot right there as the prairie dog just slowly closes the blinds, which is so menacing. And then later, after everything becomes Sodom and Gomorrah, we have the guy who's dressed up as the Indian mascot hanging himself from the tree, and then it's revealed that he's hanging himself right next to the prairie dog. So these two people that have been spending the whole season kind of in the background fighting one another, they're now hanging on a tree. That's also so much like the shot we've been seeing with the cowboy.
Right. Well, it's the tree.
Yeah, in the past. It feels like it's the same tree.
Yeah.
That he passed where there was real Native Americans being hung, and all these people from the past being hung. And it's a great mirror, and it reminds you of that without being too blatant.
Let's talk about the cowboy for a quick second before we run out of time, because we do get one important shot with him. He's now up on Earth in the mess that was Anvil.
Yeah.
Kills the angel. She's the angel?
Sarah, what is it?
Seraphim.
She's one of the many angels, different types of angels.
But as we've seen with
higher order, I think.
Yeah.
But she's been killed by the cowboy, and DeBlanc was also killed by the cowboy and didn't seem to have come back. So if he kills you, apparently you're dead.
We also get a scene where we do see Fiora coming off of the bus, and then we had a lot of people asking about the in the chat whether DeBlanc was still alive, and I think DeBlanc's dead because he doesn't come off the bus with Fiora. So I think
he looks pretty lonely.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of established that when the cowboy kind of kills someone, you kind of stay dead.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing we see is him coming up, and we know he's going after the preacher, and that's kind of where we end with him in the wreckage of Anvil, heading off to find preacher.
I felt bad for Fior. He looked so sad.
Oh my god.
Of course.
Yeah. He lost his man.
I feel so bad for him because I feel like they were in love.
I think so too.
Do you get a sense that they were in love? Was there like
I think there was a love between them. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I think so.
Yeah. It certainly seemed like it.
Yeah. So that's where we are in the future ones. Should we go through?
Yeah, so what we're going to do right now, guys, is we're going to do some predictions. We're going to do some predictions based on what we've seen. And then we are going to sign off and do some spoilery predictions. We'll give a spoiler alert for you guys.
Right. Stuff that has stuff to do with the comic book. So
And,
if you don't read the comic book, you might not want to read it.
And that's going to be that.
And now, your AfterBuzz
Look
TV.
at our special effects. Impressed?
Yeah.
Oh, lights and everything.
I am the Alpha and the Omega.
We went through the whole budget already.
Oh boy.
All right, guys. So what we're gonna do here is we'll do a quick prediction. You do your sign off, say goodbye, wave to the camera, and then we'll do a spoiler alert. We'll do the other predictions.
Yes.
Happy go, Jackie.
Well, I mean, I guess it's been announced that Hairstar is going to be at least in season 2. So
Great.
Yes. So I feel like we're kind of going storylines out of order according to what we know. So yeah, I guess we're going to be going up against Hairstar. We're going to see more of those snuff films, guys.
Yeah.
I'm Happy Go Jackie. Follow me on Twitter.
And on snuff films.
Yes.
Perfect. Do you have a prediction for what's coming up? Do you know anything?
I have no idea. Probably something that happens in the comics.
Yeah.
Okay. Really good. Really good prediction. I feel like we're hitting the road, right? So it's going to become a road show. And I think the next one's going to take place in probably a few different locations. Next season's going to be maybe 2 or 3 towns. That's what I'm guessing. And I think we're going to get we've hinted at the people from Jesse's past who have a tattoo. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to see more of those characters in the next season. I don't know if we're going to get their whole story, but I think we're going to get more of those characters. So I'm interested in that.
They spent a lot of the season teasing. Where can the folks find you?
What was that? Oh, yeah. You can find me at Mr. Dave Child because I'm Mr. Dave Child. Thank you.
They spent a lot of the season teasing bits and pieces of things that we didn't know if they were going to matter or not.
Right.
Some of them we got back to, and others we didn't. So I would get the feeling that they wouldn't want to spend a season not touching on those things and then trying to come back to them in season 3. So I would guess that the things we've seen teased, we'll see the Hairstar storyline because they teased at him earlier, and I think we'll also see what you're talking about, the storyline with the tattoo and the guy that taught me to fight, the mean old woman, all those things that Jesse references. I get the feeling that's going to be most of what season 2 is going to be about.
Yes.
Yeah,
those 2 things, which is my favorite story. So I'm very excited about it.
Great.
Yeah, it's great. Right. Anyway, you guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media on Twitter and Instagram. Derek, where can the folks find you before we do a fake sign off?
On Twitter at _Derek Wilson.
Excellent.
Sweet.
All right.
Now comic book talk.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Oh man.
Spoiler alert!
All out.
Spoiler alert!
Good sound effect.
Okay. I like how it goes like maybe one too many. That was the best part of that. So as we were just talking about vaguely, I think we're gonna see the family. We're gonna see the family and grandma.
Get out of here, guys! One more time, we're gonna reveal a lot.
Yeah, get
if
out.
you don't want to know about the comic book, we're done. Turn it off.
Yes.
Grandma. I agree. Jody, TC. It's the best story in the comic.
Yeah, we're gonna see the Grail with Hairstar coming up, and I'm really fascinated to see if they actually go through with the Grail's mission in the comic book. If that's going to be the same in the TV show, or if it's going to be a little different.
It would be some pretty like dark inbred stuff to try to show on TV.
Yeah, I know. That's
funny,
pretty intense.
But I don't know. What do you think?
They'll go as far as they can.
Yeah.
They'll go.
Yeah.
And they'll push it. I mean, it's that's the nature of the source material. So.
It feels like from this season, if they do make it different, it's going to be darker and more serious. Because you see that with King Cannon, because he turns from really kind of screwed up sexual cartoon to this dark kind of sad tragic figure.
A real person.
Yeah, a real person
Who ended up being funny.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then injecting moments around him, like the poor soldier that got his dick shot off.
Yeah,
Right.
Which
Exactly.
that's so Preacher too. Like that.
Yep.
That's the kind of humor that's like so Preacher. The kind of stuff that made me laugh the most about him though was the stuff where like they're about to go to battle and you've got like him trailing off and saying all the things to the troops in the background. You can hear what he's saying. Like, now some of you might die.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. It's your faceless idiots. That's okay. You know?
I'm not going to call you human shields, but you are human shields.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That stuff killed me.
And we also got a sense of this episode with the double fist that Tulip and Jesse find. That's perfect. That was perfect Preacher stuff. So we're probably going to get into that. I'm wondering if we're going to get into Cy, the guy from, if we're going to get into Friends, or if we're going to go to New Orleans. I could see New Orleans maybe.
That storyline happening sooner than later.
I could see that.
Yeah.
That's halfway or so into the story in the comic. But it wouldn't surprise me if they jumped there because Kin Cannon, that story is in the 7th. But here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the one thing I wonder about the Kin Cannon story being told the way that it was. There's one incredibly important detail in that 7th book when he finds his mom. Which is super important to the story, and the way that he finds her, and the fact that they have the conversations, he doesn't know it's her. That's the thing that I couldn't believe that they stripped from. We won't be able to see it in the same way.
Well, it'll probably be a different town and a different type of storyline, but hopefully we're still going to see that, because I also want to get the one-eyed girl, and I want to get like all this stuff with Eugene still on the way, so maybe he'll come. We still have Eugene in hell right now.
Yep.
So how long is Eugene going to be in hell?
Is he going to become a pop star? Like
Right.
I'll tell you what, Ian is a fantastic singer.
Is he?
Oh, man.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
guitar
perfect.
player.
I felt so bad for him when I met him because he's a handsome kid.
Yeah.
And you'd never get to see his face.
He'll play something else.
He'll do something. You can also tell from his eyes.
He's so good.
Yeah.
So he'll be fine.
I'm also wondering, I kind of have a little bit of a prediction where the Cowboy is in the comic books has a storyline of killing the devil and going into hell and killing the devil. I'm wondering if they're going to save that for later on in his story.
So we don't know who he is yet.
So he's the way Jesse can get back after he kind of convinces Jesse, after Jesse kind of convinces him to be on his side. Maybe he'll be the way he goes back into hell to find Eugene, and in the process of going back into hell, maybe he'll kill the devil.
Hell freezes over.
Yeah, hell freezes over, and he actually maybe even kind of becomes the saint of all killers. Because right now he's just the cowboy.
You and I both say the saint of all killers constantly, and somebody on YouTube
they yelled at
has
us.
called us out over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't know why we both do it. Maybe you started doing it because I do it, or the vice versa.
Yeah, I think it's just because that's such a cool name for the character.
Yeah.
But we were talking beforehand about how like it's the thing is saying it also makes it seem it doesn't really reveal anything. It just makes it be like, who's the saint of all killers? Oh, the cowboy.
No, the saint of killers.
Saint of all.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Saint
It's
of
the saint of
killers.
killers. That's what we've been doing. I've been doing it for years.
A lot of people do that.
It's not the
Yeah.
saint of all killers.
No, it's the saint of killers.
Why do I say the saint of all killers?
I don't know why I do it either. I've been doing it since I was a kid.
That's so funny. Oh, whoa, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. Saint of Killers. That doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Anyway.
oh well.
While we still have you, Derek, tell us a little bit. What can we expect to see from you sooner than later? What are you? Anything you can talk about yet?
Nothing I can really talk about yet. I just I finished
This is the spoiler section. So.
right.
No one sees this.
I just shot a movie with some friends, and I've shot a pilot recently, which we should find out soon about.
Cool.
But I can't
Yeah,
really talk about it.
Great. Mysterious.
Yeah,
Love it.
Yeah. So, but if you follow me, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll tweet at you.
Yeah.
What's happening, Preacher Season 2? Guys, I don't know. I'm not on the show anymore. Tell us.
Yeah,
tell
I'm not
us.
gonna have any
Call into
answers.
the show.
Right. Yeah, I will enjoy my ignorance in season 2.
It'll be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Nice. What are you gonna miss most about this working on the show?
Just the environment, the right. It's just it's one of those jobs you just you look forward to going to every day. You cannot wait. Days off are almost torturous because you want to get to the set and work, and see the people and work on these scenes, and it's just great. It's a great experience. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We
Yeah,
really
man.
appreciate it. And guys, thank you for hanging out with us for the entire season. We will
Yes.
see you next season. Yeah.
Whatever that is.
And tweet at Roxy. We're missing Roxy Stryer. At
Yeah.
Roxy Stryer. She's in Suicide Squad right now, but you know, that's cool too.
Yeah, I guess. Fine.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
R.I.P. Donny.
It's always...
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.